Hello, everyone. Welcome to Cracking Addiction. My name's Dr. Ferghal Armstrong, and today we're going to talk about paracetamol in view of its recent rescheduling in Australia. So, first of all, what we need to understand is what is paracetamol? Well, it's an analgesic agent, but the exact mechanism of its activity as an analgesic is actually unknown. There are a number of theories, one of which is it modifies the endocannabinoid system and in particular signaling of anandamide by inhibiting its metabolism. So it's known to be an FAAH inhibitor. And FAAH is the enzyme that metabolizes or terminates the signal of anandamide. Other theories include the fact that it modifies opioid neurotransmission, it modifies nitric oxide pathways, it modifies the eicosanoid system, and it augments serotonergic descending inhibitory pain pathways. So really, there's a wide range of putative mechanisms by which we think paracetamol may help with analgesia, but as is always the case when there's lots of theories, it means that we're not sure exactly what's going on. So that brings us on to the point of its clinical efficacy. A recent meta-analysis by Shahid et al. Came to the following conclusion, and I'm going to read excerpts from the abstract. And it says, there is high quality evidence that paracetamol provides modest pain relief for people with knee or hip osteoarthritis and after craniotomy. There is moderate quality evidence for its efficacy in tension type headache and perineal pain soon after childbirth. And they go on to say that there is actually high quality evidence that paracetamol is not effective for relieving acute low back pain. And lastly, evidence regarding efficacy in other conditions was of low or very low quality. So really, despite its use as an analgesic agent, it's not particularly good for a lot of pain conditions for which it would otherwise be prescribed, but it may help with osteoarthritis, post-craniotomy, tension headaches, and post-childbirth. And it certainly will not help with acute back pain. Now, this subscheduling was brought about in part because of paracetamol's liver toxicity. So it's important to understand, why is paracetamol toxic to the liver? Well, when we ingest paracetamol, and according to the diagram which you can see, paracetamol is either conjugated to glucuronides or conjugated to sulfates, and these are non-toxic. And these are the usual metabolic pathways by which paracetamol is metabolized. If you have a paracetamol overdose, then you flood these pathways, resulting in a third pathway that is activated, and that is via the cytochrome P450 system, and in particular, cytochrome P450 2E1. And if paracetamol is metabolized by 2E1, the liver produces a metabolite called N-acetyl para-amino benzoquinonamine, NAPK for short. And NAPK is toxic to hepatocytes. NAPK causes liver damage. Now, in the usual course of affairs, NAPK is actually rendered harmless by conversion to cysteine and mercaptopuric acid conjugates. And this pathway is dependent on glutathione. However, when stores of glutathione are exhausted, then there's nowhere for this NAPK to go other than to hang about the liver and cause significant liver toxicity. Now, this also unlocks the key to the antidote to paracetamol liver toxicity, which is replenishment of N-acetylcysteine, NAC, because NAC is a key component of glutathione. Glutathione allows the metabolism of toxic NAPK into non-toxic metabolites. Therefore, the theory is that if you're getting liver damage because of paracetamol overdose, then you flood the liver with N-acetylcysteine, you augment the stores of available glutathione, and you wash away all of the toxic NAPK, and you leave behind non-toxic metabolites, cysteine and mercaptopuric acid. So If you want further advice on actually how to manage paracetamol liver toxicity, then you can, of course, read the guideline summary, Management of Paracetamol Poisoning in Australia and New Zealand, published or written by Chu et al. And published in the Medical Journal of Australia in 2019. And just to demonstrate to you the way that we conceptualize managing paracetamol overdose effectively, we manage the treatment decision to actually prescribe N-acetylcysteine is dependent on whether or not you cross certain thresholds on a nomogram initially developed by Rumack and Matthew. And again, you can see a picture of this nomogram. And effectively, if your paracetamol levels are across the red line according to the time after known ingestion, well, that would be the indication to start N-acetylcysteine. Now, what are the risk factors for liver toxicity and death? Well, there are three main risk factors. So late presentation of paracetamol overdoses, the use of very high doses of paracetamol during an overdose, and interestingly, the use of modified release paracetamol. And what we're seeing is we get acute liver injury or liver failure in about 2 to 5% of overdoses. And again, we're seeing death in 0.2 to 0.5% of overdoses. But we'll look at those in more detail soon. In Australia, the absolute numbers are as follows. So in Australia, we have approximately 225 hospitalizations due to liver injury per year. Now, that's not episodes of paracetamol overdose requiring treatment. That's episodes of liver injury despite treatment. And that's about 225 cases per year. And unfortunately, we get about 50 deaths per year as a result of paracetamol toxicity. Now, we need to put that into context because we need to put into the context of the amount of paracetamol that's actually sold. And so really what we're seeing is for every million packets of paracetamol sold in Australia, we would get 3 hospitalizations per year, but we would get less than one death per year in terms of absolute figures. So really taking it into context, we still have to acknowledge the relative safety of paracetamol. Nonetheless, now going back to the fact that modified release paracetamol is actually a risk factor for liver toxicity and death, it's no surprise, therefore, that in the European Union in 2017, they banned the sale of MR paracetamol. Now, it's still available in Australia under Panadol Osteo. Now, the TGA, as a result of various studies, have actually suggested that a reduction in pack size has been found to reduce death from poisonings by about a third, although the effects may be less for non-lethal outcomes, and that would include liver toxicity. So what's happening in Australia? Well, as of the 1st of February 2025, there's going to be a reduction in the maximum pack size. So paracetamol sold in general sale, the maximum pack size will be reduced from 20 to 16 tablets or capsules. And in pharmacy-only packs, where you do not have to have direct supervision from a pharmacist, the maximum pack size will be reduced from 100 to 50 tablets or capsules. And in pharmacist-only packs, where you do have to have supervision from the pharmacist, the pack size will be limited to 100 tablets or capsules. So this change in the way that we're able to buy paracetamol in Australia needs to be taken into context of why we use it in the first place, what's its analgesic efficacy, what's the risk of toxicity, and we need to understand the risk factors for liver toxicity. That's all for today, folks. My name is Dr. Ferghal Armstrong, and this has been Cracking Addiction.